All right. Really?
Two Bruiserweight with my guy.
But you're fighting the belt.
That's what he did.
Okay. Well, Backlash just ended in Chicago. We just finished our live stream on YouTube. If you don't know it by now, you're really missing out. What have you been doing? This right here, we're gonna do it backwards. I am Ritz, and this right here
Say it right.
is your Jar Challenge Champion and your Jar ICP Champion. Rephrase that. Your new Jar ICP Champion. 5 months. You without the belt for 5 months.
I told you.
You lost it on December 18th at Roadblock, End of the Line, the Raw exclusive pay-per-view. Here we are, almost to the day, May 21st.
Yep.
2017.
Yep.
SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view Backlash.
Yep.
How do you feel?
I feel great, man. I told you. I said it for months. Everyone loves a hero story. And what makes it even greater is that out of you, me, Chef, and Silent Hill, I'm the heel. And I had the hero's journey. I'm on some Seth Rollins shit right now. And
None of us play true to the heel face bit.
I do.
You do.
I do. It's fun. Being a heel is awesome.
So,
yeah.
we're going to kind of run down the card. Not even real quickly. Show starts with Nakamura versus Ziggler. Right out the gate, I did not like them coming out first.
I didn't either.
Granted, with the rest of the flow of the show, it made sense to an extent.
Right.
But initially sitting there watching it, did not like it.
Right.
They put on about 25 minute match.
Give or take, yeah.
Great showing between Nakamura and Ziggler, because as we've noted many times before, Ziggler has that natural ability to make somebody else look good. Not saying that
he sells his ass off.
Yeah, not saying that Nakamura is bad, but you want someone that can over-exaggerate Nakamura.
Just enough.
Yeah, just enough, because that's what they want with him right now.
Right. I will say this. I like the match a lot. The first thing I noticed about halfway through is that Nakamura's skills have been dumbed down.
Yes.
He didn't do the running high knee from the apron with the person dangling on the apron and knees to the side. He didn't do the knee drop from the apron to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do his patented 2 strikes and then the strong forearm to the face.
I was wondering where that was.
He didn't do it. The closest thing they got to it was the forearm to the back of the head.
Now, are they saving some of that for later? Because this is his technically first main roster. Well, not even technically. It is his first main roster match.
Right.
Are they saving some of that to see how the main roster crowd takes to Nakamura and things like that without giving away all of his bag of tricks? Because let's take Chef. We'll use Chef as an example.
Okay.
Does not watch NXT.
Right.
Does not know Nakamura, with the exception of what you and I have talked about.
Right.
Doesn't know what he's missing.
This is true, but I'm looking at it this way. If you're going to build a main event talent, Nakamura has more in his arsenal than even he showed in NXT. And
Also a true statement.
And the fact that he has patented moves that people recognize that they didn't see, I feel like it hindered the match, because if anyone's going to sell those moves to be as devastating as they actually are, Ziggler would be the guy. That's part one. Part two is that this is his debut match on the main roster. Finn Balor showed all of his skills when he fought on his first night.
Right.
Sami Zayn did the same thing. KO is always adapting, but KO showed, I want to say about 80%. Because he didn't show like the fisherman thing with the knee that you saw with him and AJ this match. You didn't see the top rope twisting fisherman suplex that he did, but you saw everything else. So you knew what he was about. You didn't see the strong kicks from Shinsuke. You didn't see, like, a properly teased Kinshasa. Sorry, you didn't see the knees. I mean,
lot of things were left out.
A lot of things were left out, and it bothered me. But I mean, not taking it away from Nakamura because he's still great, but I feel like the match was missing more. And right after the match, I was looking at a website and they were grading the matches, and that match got a B+. And it bothers me because that match should have got an A.
Well, and now we know this is not going to be the last week we're going to see of Nakamura versus Ziggler.
Yeah.
And is part of that because knowing that Vince McMahon's running this side of things, how much of him holding Shinsuke back is not so much that Shinsuke can't do it and it go over with the crowd, so much as those working with Nakamura can't handle it.
If anyone could handle it right now, I would be fairly confident Dolph would be one of them.
But you might be, some of the other people in the universe might be, hell, even Dolph might be, but it's McMahon. Is your road agents, are your producers.
But you would think that at this stage, you've got Triple H running NXT, and then you saying, I need that guy on the main roster, which means you've seen what that guy can do. Why water down the skill that you brought him up for? That would be my thing. Samoa Joe has had the same moveset from TNA to NXT to now. Same thing. Everything he does is the exact same. Finn Balor had the same skills, just a little bit more adaptive from New Japan when he was Prince Devitt to Finn Balor in NXT to now. It's about the same. You've got AJ who's had roughly the same skill set, just his finisher changes. Still uses everything, but his finisher's constantly changing.
Well, and then,
so you look at that, and then you look at Nakamura, and the only thing that I can think of that would stop Vince from saying, go all in with this guy, is the fact that he doesn't speak super, super clear English.
and that was my next point, is how much of the language barrier, because he can't, I don't want to say call the proper spots, but communicate properly to everybody involved in the match of what he's going to do and when he's going to do it and things like that. And how much of it, of tonight especially, was Ziggler just calling the shots right out the gate because nobody's confident enough with because they haven't worked with Nakamura to sit there and say, all right, you call the match, you run how we're going to do the match, everything like that.
Even if Nakamura's not calling, and if you remember it and they still do it, there's people who do the match before the match happens. So you know what to do. And in the instance of you being concerned about Nakamura, I would think that it would be pushed that way. Because you got to keep in mind that Daniel Bryan vouches for Nakamura. Finn Balor vouches for Nakamura. Brock Lesnar vouches for Nakamura. AJ Styles vouches for Nakamura. The thing that you need to know is that all four of those guys are top guys.
Right.
So therefore, they're like, hey, if you let Nakamura do what he does best, you will have a 5-star match. And I think, and Paul Heyman said it best, he said that if Shinsuke's not willing to push the envelope and just kind of do things that say, I'm awesome, and instead decides to take I'm going to ask every single time about every single thing I could do, he will stay in the mid-card forever. And that bothers me. That's a potential that someone as talented as Shinsuke could be stuck in the mid-card.
Do you think, and I go back to the language barrier a lot because it is a big thing. A lot of people, when Nakamura first got signed, were concerned of how long is he going to stay down in NXT because it was more or less public knowledge that Nakamura doesn't speak English very well, and we're keeping him down here in NXT to help with that. Because because at the time NXT was kind of staying in Full Sail for the most part. They hadn't exactly started branching out just yet. And so they were able to put him in these essentially English classes for him to learn. So now he's here at the main roster. Okay? Now he is where McMahon's at. Vince is here. Vince is at all the big shows. Vince is there, kind of thing. Let's assume. Okay. and he sees Vince, and he doesn't have a great working relationship with Vince, that's still his boss.
Right.
How much of it is, Mr. McMahon, can I do this?
Okay, so a couple of things.
Like you're referencing to.
Right, a couple of things. A, Shinsuke speaks perfect English. He just has an incredibly heavy accent. That's
okay.
A. B, even if that's the case and you're worried about his promos, look at people like Braun Strowman, who did not talk, and they just fought. And when he talked, he was a man of few words. When Cesaro wasn't on the mic, he was a man of few words. When you have guys
I'll answer that entire argument with you with Sting 1996.
There you go. There you go.
And I agree with you.
If you have somebody that he's feuding with, which I would think for the most part would be top tier.
But I'm not worried about from the in front of the camera aspect of it as much as it is from the behind the scenes of playing off of what you said, of what Paul Heyman said.
Right.
Of if he asks to do everything. Because in my profession, ask for forgiveness, not for permission.
Exactly.
How much of it is he's asking for permission and not forgiveness?
Well, I would think solely off of how he was brought up in New Japan
and that's
other
what I was going to
industries.
reference to.
I would think that he is respectable enough to where he could cross the line if he wanted to, but he doesn't want to quite yet. Because he understands and he understands the opportunity that has been placed before him. They picked him from New Japan and made him the biggest star on NXT next to Finn Balor. Because I don't think Bobby Roode is necessarily on that level quite yet. He will.
He'll get there.
He's a big star, but he's not on that level. Because Bobby Roode is not internationally as known as Shinsuke Nakamura is. People lost their shit whenever Shinsuke was going to face Sami Zayn because they knew who he was. And the fact of how big he is, he understands that he's with a new company, and I think that with Triple H trusting in him more is the reason why he was able to do so much. But because Vince is so old school, I think that's what's hindering him. And I think that if Vince would allow Triple H to be in his ear and say, hey, you need to let this guy go. This guy will bring us everything that we've ever asked for, everything that we ever need, but you gotta loosen the chain a little bit on him.
Right.
They let that happen, we will have the second biggest babyface on SmackDown next to AJ Styles. Bar none.
I very much agree with all of that. Overall, I'll probably say it was a B plus A minus match.
Right.
The crowd was really, really hot for it.
Yeah.
Which, as we've stated in previous videos, does help a quality of a match.
True.
We moved from that to arguably
the match of the
most
second match of the
most
night.
entertaining match I've probably seen in years.
Listen, man. Listen.
Usos are your tag team champions. They're going up against Tyler Breeze and Fandango at Breezango.
Oh my god.
From the get-go,
oh my god.
Tyler Breeze is dressed up as a janitor.
He's mopping the stage with no water.
And he's literally just mopping down the
mopping
stage.
the ring
mops
with
inside
no
the
water.
ring, and then plays with, twirls it in front of the Usos.
Don't know how he didn't get DQ'd because he did use the mop, but
Who
that's
cares?
whatever. But dude, the most entertaining match.
And then he gets knocked out of the ring, and then changes into a grandma outfit.
And gets a "Let's Go Grandma" chant, which
JB.
was fantastic. And then to top it off, it had nothing to do with the actual match. JBL gets smacked in the face with the dress, and that's the highlight. That is, dude. Oh my god, it's the greatest moment. It's the greatest moment. Oh my god.
And take out the novelty of it. It was a really good match.
It was a good match.
Because it was great to see two teams, 4 guys, go out there and have in-ring chemistry that you can tell these 4 have.
Yep.
And we've been talking about it all the time, how some of the tag team matches in the division lately has been kind of
Stale.
just
Just
Not stale. I don't want to say stale because every so often they'll do something that kind of makes you go, oh,
yeah.
okay. But this was something that really helped the SmackDown tag division
For sure.
kind of made them something that people want to tune into, especially if this feud continues.
Which I hope it does.
You know,
because I think that the game plan, the genius game plan, would be you elevate Breezango, and then once they knock off the Usos and the feud is done, you now have Breezango versus the Ascension, because they're setting so many seeds with the Fashion Files that it's gonna reach a point to where they can fight everyone, whether they're face or whether they're heel, because they have a common thing of your fashion is shit. I want to beat you because of it. That's genius.
absolutely.
It's the most intricate details. Like, you look at it and it has pictures of American Alpha, ugly faces. It's got the Ascension, what the fuck. It's got the Usos, day one-ish. We don't know what that means, but whatever. You got Heath Slater and Rhino. He's got kids, but he's apparently a man beast. That's fucking weird. It goes through every team. And so if you were to put Breezango in the title picture and have them win the titles, anyone could compete for it, and it would make total sense, because they're in a fight for the titles, and they're in a fight for people who don't have fashion. It's genius.
Right.
It's a two-sided thing for them.
We made the comment about the finish, about the super kicks and different stuff like that.
Oh my god. The one hiccup.
That was a big hiccup.
I know.
You
Because we
know,
saw it on NXT yesterday. God damn it, Ciampa.
stop.
God damn it, Ciampa.
And you know, not to get on a rant about just if you get hit, sell the move, which we could talk for 2 hours about that easily.
Yeah.
I think looking back, having Breezango win right now was not the move. Because they're on that incline,
Right.
and you want to slow burn that incline.
True.
If they're catching momentum.
Yeah.
And they're catching
You want there to
momentum.
be a big payoff at the end.
Yeah,
and
you
it
want
would
it
have been
to
too
be,
soon.
and you want it to be desired, and so when they do win, it's almost main event worthy kind of thing, you know. And nobody sees it coming, but everybody wants it.
I will say this, because it was the only match I got wrong. I would have said the Usos, but I didn't think that they cared enough about the SmackDown tag division at this time. So I was like, they're probably just gonna give it to somebody else. Fuck it, whatever.
And that was my thought
Like
too.
that was my immediate thought process on it.
Because so many people have had the belt
Right.
so quickly
Right.
that I was like, wow, the Usos have had the belt
Longer for a
for
while.
a while. They're probably one of the longest reigning SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Not saying much.
Yeah.
But it's about time for them to lose it per just trends.
Right.
Because we did it very different this time. We actually did our predictions prior to the night starting.
Right.
And hid them away and everything like that. So none of us knew, well, you and I didn't know what the other had, kind of thing, different thing like that.
Right.
And personally, I liked it a little bit better.
I did too.
But it made a match like this a lot more enjoyable to watch.
Right. Right.
Well,
we will say this because you brought up the super kick thing, and then we
Yes.
move on. So he won with a super kick.
Usos won.
Usos won with a super kick. So you're implying to me that that is a potential finisher for them. But one brother kicked the other brother square in the face with that same super kick, and the brother was up in no time. Literally no time. How is it that one brother got kicked in the face with the same kick and did not get knocked out, but then Fandango gets kicked in the face and gets knocked out for the 3? That's the kind of stuff that bothers me. If you're gonna sell it, sell it.
Sell
You got
it.
kicked in the face.
If you're gonna take the move, sell the move.
Yeah, like, you got kicked in the face, bro. It's okay to lay down for a little bit. But the ending was good, with the exception of that one little hiccup that rubbed me the wrong way. But other than that, I loved the match. I was laughing.
I could
So
actually,
hard.
I wouldn't, if I watch it back, I probably wouldn't laugh again as much as we did tonight.
Because it was just a what the fuck.
Yeah, but I would go back and I would watch that match.
Yeah,
Again,
I watched it. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because it was just a great match. It's one of those things where, like, tomorrow I'll be sitting at work and I'll probably pull up clips or something like that.
Right.
Because it was just a genuinely good match. I don't expect us spending a lot of time on this next match, Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin.
Not much to take from it.
Really not. It was a great filler match. Everybody was coming off the high of an exciting tag team match, an exciting Nakamura Ziggler. That was almost a solid hour.
Yeah.
And then you have Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin, where Sami Zayn takes the win, which is a good thing.
It was a solid match.
It was a very solid match.
I enjoyed the match.
From a technical standpoint, it was great.
Yep.
But it wasn't super long. We were tired.
It wasn't even that. There was nothing about this match that made me care.
Well, that's where
it got
I
me
used the phrase
because-
tired from.
Right.
And then everybody, especially from laughing at the stuff. And
Yeah.
Then the false finishes of the previous match.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those ones where it's like, all right, you take a step back and take a break.
Yeah.
Here's some action to keep you at least.
Which it shouldn't have been that, because Sammy and Baron are great right now. The only thing that kills me is that when it brought up the promo clip, it only focused on last week, not the weeks it's been building.
Correct.
They did not get a proper promo video, so therefore everything that I forgot, which I'm remembering now because I'm thinking about it, everything that I forgot, I wasn't reminded of. I was just reminded that last week, Sammy said that Baron Corbin was threatened by him, and Baron Corbin attacked him. It's not talking about the fact that he attacked him on Talkin' Smack. Didn't talk about the fact that he attacked him on another interview weeks before that. There was so much that it missed.
Well, and now that's when you look at it, from a booking standpoint of if that wasn't a filler match.
What would have been?
What would have been,
right?
And then we would have been angry about that,
right?
The package, the video package, you're only allowed so much time,
right.
So I'm okay with that one kind of getting.
I am too. It's just
the short side of it.
Right.
It does suck.
It sucks,
but
but
we'll
it's okay.
We'll see this more because that's a thing that they like to do. WWE does, and so we'll be able to get that. Eventually, that nice promo package that'll have enough stuff in there to make it relevant, and they'll have clips from matches and things like that, not just interview attacks.
Yeah.
So,
just silly.
Welcoming Committee.
Yes.
Versus Becky Lynch, or we're gonna refer to her as Rapidash for the rest of the night.
Yeah, that haircut was
Charlotte.
so stupid.
And the SmackDown Women's Champion Naomi.
I hated that haircut. Let's get that.
I didn't mind it.
That haircut was garbage.
I didn't mind
like it. Becky, you're beautiful, but that haircut was horrible. Like, bro, no, I couldn't deal.
Welcoming Committee takes the win with
yes.
the Italian sharpshooter.
I told you, I love the Welcoming Committee.
I do too, but
I love them, dude. They're so good right now.
Everything I read said yes, Welcoming Committee's winning, but don't be surprised if it's Carmella pinning Naomi. Because they want to take Carmella and they want to put her in the SmackDown title picture.
Why would? Oh yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that would make sense.
So seeing Natalya get the win, even though she's a de facto leader and everything like that, and Becky kind of brought Naomi and Charlotte together to handle, because Naomi and Charlotte were at odds with getting their butts kicked by both of these women.
Right.
Becky kind of brought them together to fight these women.
Becky gets shafted at every corner that they can possibly shaft her on.
And
she takes
we referenced
the pin.
that in our Superstar Spotlight.
Yeah, she takes the pin or the submission all the time. When she was with PCB, she was the one taking the pins and the submissions all the time. When she was just friends with Charlotte, she was the one that was played a fool and taking the pins all the time. Then, to reward her for doing so, you gave her the SmackDown Women's Championship, which was awesome, was beautiful, and now she's back to taking the pins all the time. You had her in a bullshit feud with Mickey, that was horrible. I didn't care about it, because you didn't build up Mickey properly for me to care. Now you've got it to where she's with another team of two people, one of them she used to hate.
But there's no guarantee, because you have the SmackDown Women's Champion in this mix. There's no guarantee of how long this is lasting. If this was a one-off, these three getting together to go against Welcoming Committee, things along those lines, we don't know where it's going to go. I don't see the Welcoming Committee lasting for too long, only because eventually the conversation is going to come up of who's the number one contender.
Yeah.
Especially if Charlotte, because Charlotte is, if I remember correctly, owed her match. Owed a match, if I remember correctly.
Well, technically she got her match and it was interfered with, so they might give her a second chance.
Okay.
I think that the welcoming committee can break up after they shut down Charlotte of her title match. That's when you're no longer needed to be a team, because now one of you guys needs to go take out Naomi and win the title.
Exactly. And
So
that's
that's
where
how
they're
it
going to
happened.
fall apart at.
Right.
Which is perfect. If depending on how long it lasts, let's just say it lasts another month.
Right.
Till the next pay-per-view and everything, like the
I
next
think it's
SmackDown
longer,
pay-per-view.
that's okay.
But a month is perfect because it doesn't get stale. It doesn't
Right.
get to where they fought everybody. There's not a lot of women
No.
on the SmackDown side
Right
right
now.
now. Not a lot of active women. So it's something
Who do you
that
have left on SmackDown?
nobody.
I think it's everybody.
It, Lana will be coming up soon,
Yeah.
but it's going to be something that you're going to want to disband quickly
Right.
and get back to fighting for the belt.
I think that they'll be in a match to where I think that they should give Natalya the win, but I think they're going to give Carmella the win to be the number one contender.
And hopefully
And
she
then,
drops elsewhere.
and then Carmella beats Naomi, and then Carmella and Natalya are going to feud because Natalya is clearly the leader of the group, and she's going to be like, you couldn't get here if it wasn't for me, and I helped like hone your skills and all that shit. And then they'll feud, and I think they'll end up having a really solid feud because I really like Natalya as a heel.
I do too.
I really like Natalya as a heel. If you turn her face because of it, I'm not too mad, but I really like her as a heel.
I like Natalya as a heel as long as she's not really cutting promos. Because some of her promos,
They're
and
hard,
it's not
they're
her
cringe.
fault.
They're cringe.
It's not her fault.
Right.
They're bad.
They're cringe.
They're bad.
They're cringe-worthy.
United States Championship
Match of the night ended in a countout.
Owens versus Styles. And that really doesn't sit well with me. You know, I don't want to call it match of the night because of that right there.
I'm still going to call it the match of the night because it was.
But do you
And
see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, no, I do. Because any match that ends in a disqualification, a stupid disqualification, or a countout is immediately a match that people throw out. Now, the way they did it was smart. He focused on that leg the whole match. Styles went for a Styles Clash. He escapes and pushes his leg into the hole where the monitor was. That's genius.
Right. The setup was great.
And then he wanted the heel heat of, haha, you didn't get a definitive finish. Suck it, bitch. Like, that's how KO operates. That's why, because, dude, that's what he did.
I agree.
He was just like, my title, suck it, Chicago. Like, that's what KO does. And that's why I like KO so much, because I think about it as a bigger picture, and this is genius because now AJ can fight for it again and beat him and say, you never pinned me, you never submitted me, you got lucky by getting my leg caught in an announce table and getting me to lose via countout. Whoop-de-doo. Like,
Yeah.
That's not what a champion's about. It's going to ruffle KO's feathers. I'm angry. Fight Owens, fight. And then they're going to go at it again. And we're going to get this great match again with a more definitive finish.
Now, personally, if I'm doing my math right here, I want that to be a SmackDown match. Only because
Yeah, SmackDown main event for sure.
you have, I think their next pay-per-view after Raw's Extreme Rules might be Money in the Bank. I'm not 100% sure what's after Extreme Rules for SmackDown.
And I would... Okay, if Rusev's not in the Money in the Bank match, I would love to have KO and Styles in the Money in the Bank match. For sure.
Exactly.
If-
So that's what I'm saying. I don't want them to be preoccupied with this feud over the belt
when there's a bigger belt on the horizon.
when there's a bigger goal on the horizon. Yeah,
Right.
Get it. Let it be a SmackDown main event. I would tune in
Right.
for that main event
Right.
because I think we touched on it once upon a time on a conversation we weren't recording. Having the champion, what NXT does about not having Bobby Roode fight on every show,
Right.
things like that, is great.
And they've been doing that a little bit on SmackDown if you look at it.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Not having Randy, because I didn't know if the formula would work on the main roster, but it's kind of, I'm kind of into it.
Right.
Of not having Randy, well, not Randy anymore, but not having your champion fighting in the main event. He could fight, the at the top of the hour kind of thing.
Right.
You know, a little just blow off match, just to say, all right, here's the belt. You guys wanted to see me hold the belt, kind of thing.
Right.
You know, but it's not. That's not gonna work.
You just gotta believe that.
I can't believe that worked.
Beast mode stuff.
You know, so you have your United States title, or you have your Raw Intercontinental title. You have those guys main eventing the show, and it brings that level of prestige that we're always talking about back to those belts.
Right.
I think having Kevin Owens and AJ Styles continue this feud Tuesday night is the move. I think the only part that legitimately scared me, and I think part of it's because I got just lost in the match, was when KO took the hit
On the side. Dude, that was brutal. It
looked like that he took it right in the tailbone.
Yeah, that looked.
And
Dude.
that I've fallen on my tailbone before.
And it hurts.
It hurts. I can only imagine what it's like getting something drilled directly into your tailbone like that.
Feels like you break your back.
Yeah.
Feels like your lower back is literally broken. Like it sucks. But for all we know, they could have called an audible. You never know.
Right.
You never know. But in any case, like, if they were to rematch it on Tuesday, the only issue that I have with it is that they've done that on Raw, and it left a bad taste.
I don't want it rematched on Tuesday. I'm talking like a SmackDown a couple weeks from now.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Like,
Okay.
like give me a proper build.
Back up to it.
So,
Yeah.
even if it's figured there, let's just call it 5 weeks before the next SmackDown pay-per-view.
Okay.
Okay? 3 weeks in. 3 weeks from tomorrow. Give me, not tomorrow, 3 weeks from Tuesday, give me the rematch.
Right.
If AJ wins, Kevin Owens turns around the next week and inserts himself into the Money in the Bank match because fuck you, that's why.
Right.
And AJ Styles can either be in the match or doing something with the United States title, because to some extent, if you're having a pay-per-view, I want that US title defended in a proper fashion, and I'd be okay having AJ miss out on that match if he's in a proper feud.
I think AJ carrying the US title is the smart option, because whether AJ has the WWE Championship, the Cruiserweight Championship, the US Championship, AJ Styles itself is a giant brand. It's a giant name, and he's gonna get cheered regardless.
Absolutely.
Regardless. The fact that you turned him into a heel and he was not really getting booed, he was getting pops everywhere he went. Even when you turn him into a heel, he got bigger pops when you turn him into a heel, which is crazy because AJ as a heel is awesome. But you give AJ Styles the US title. That goes on his resume. You were a WWE champion and now you're a US champion. That's awesome. On top of that, you have your top guy on SmackDown carrying around the secondary title the same way that John Cena did, bringing prestige to it. Not taking it away from KO. Not taking nothing away from KO. I think KO is a great person as a champion. I think he's better when he's hungry for it, but I like him as a champion still. But AJ Styles is just a bigger name than KO.
Mm-hmm.
You put KO and you have KO win the Money in the Bank, that's a dangerous dude. And that's something that I want to see because he's so crafty
And
him
that
having the briefcase is the
cockiness that he
Yes.
has about him is perfect, because we can see some of that stuff we see at the live events with him. You know, you were referencing a lot the headlock master and stuff, like little things he says during matches.
Which you have to watch after this video. Oh my god, it's so
He
good.
can actually bring to a promo and say, you know, have his music hit for no flipping reason.
No reason.
Or just be sitting at front row.
Yeah.
Not at ringside. Not at the commentary table.
Front row.
Front row during a SmackDown pay-per-view.
Just carrying a briefcase,
like that.
just like,
And
then
the
the guy
briefcase
sees
is
him,
just sitting there.
and he goes, "Hey,
How you doing?
don't look at me.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. Shut up."
Hey, he's gonna hit you.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Like, he's like freaking out. Dude, that would be so genius.
Moving on, Luke Harper versus Eric Rowan.
Solid.
Honestly,
Solid.
it was a solid match. Going into it,
Right.
Because I found out on the because it was something that was announced during Talking Smack that we didn't watch, so I found out on the app, and I half expected this match to be on the pre-show. So I
did too.
I honestly didn't care. It wasn't until we were doing the predictions that I realized that the only pre-show match was Ty versus Aiden English.
Which made sense because who's going to get the crowd hyped up on a pre-show more than Ty Dillinger?
Exactly. So it really threw me for a loop, and I just kind of went with Harper in the instance because he's been back, he's been around.
Yep.
He's naturally more popular than Eric Rowan is.
Always has been.
And I think he's just a little bit better in the ring than Eric Rowan. But
yes.
Tonight they put on one hell of a show. They were supposed to be a filler.
Yeah, they're meant to be a
They
filler.
were supposed to be that breath of fresh air before you go into the main event.
You didn't hear a lot of the crowd popping. You did not hear like a lot of loud reactions, but the match overall, if you look at it, Luke showcased very well what Rowan can do as a big guy.
Yes.
And that's huge because you brought Eric Rowan back and you fed him to Randy whenever he was feuding with Bray, and we didn't get to see anything except Eric Rowan is jobbing again, nothing new. Now that he's somewhat feuding with Luke, and he has a reason to feud with Luke because he blames Luke for the family breaking up because he left the family.
Right.
So you've already got a natural story there, and Luke knows how to put someone that he's tagged with for 4 or 5 years over. That's awesome. Because even though Eric didn't win, I think people are giving him a second look because the dude can wrestle. The dude can wrestle.
But we've known he could wrestle from as early as Survivor Series a few years back. When Sting made his debut, we kind of took on to the, oh wow, this dude can actually go for a little bit.
Right.
And so we kind of got the early inklings of that. Tonight was a full-blown, solid, dead-to-rights showcase of what this man can do in the ring.
Exactly.
In the perfect time slot.
Exactly.
Because everybody's invested.
Yeah.
In the show overall at that point. Nobody's going to turn it off and come back.
Exactly. If they had opened it, I think it would have hindered them.
Yeah.
Because if Nakamura opens it, you're going to tune in because everybody's been waiting for Nakamura to debut, and Nakamura was on the freaking poster for Backlash.
It was the only one.
The only one, which was, wow. I think that just showcased how much they think of Nakamura, which is a huge plus. But yeah, man, the suicide dive, the Eric Rowan powerbomb was beautiful because nobody's really doing powerbombs anymore, and
It's
was
nice
awesome.
to see them back.
The constant power slam or scoop slams that he was doing to Luke Harper, and the fact that they kept saying he's manhandling Luke Harper. That's smart because you're showing that he's powerful. He's doing heel kicks. He's doing drop kicks. Like if he were throwing a suicide dive, that dude's a beast. And I think he was showcased really well.
Yeah, it was great overall. Having Luke Harper win is the right move to make if you want to keep this going. If you want to build the Eric Rowan character. I hope they do because that segment on the pre-show is really weird.
Yeah, it was
funny, but
they didn't talk.
It was funny for about the first 15 seconds.
Right, and they got weird.
Booker T made it weird.
You're looking real swole, Eric.
And
You're real swole right now.
It got really just
jacked,
uncomfortable as a viewer.
But he's jacked, man.
Oh, shut up!
But he's so jacked.
All right, here we are.
But he's jacked.
WWE Championship match. Jinder Mahal, the Maharaja, versus the Apex Predator, the WWE Champion, Randy Orton.
This is actually really fun to do.
And I cannot believe it is May 21st, 2017.
Yep.
I'm sitting here and I am saying that Jinder Mahal is the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Long overdue.
Yes.
Long overdue.
Yes, but if you look at just his WWE career,
it's garbage. That's what I'm saying.
He
Long
was
overdue.
garbage, and literally overnight, champion.
Yeah.
Well, number one contender and then champion.
Yeah. I don't like how they built him. I think that I think they could have built him far better. But I'm not mad that he's champion. Because, I hate to say it, I don't like Randy Orton as champion. I hate it. I hate it so much. But
I love a face Randy.
I love face Randy's pretty legit. I like a heel. I like a vicious heel Randy. I don't like a coward heel Randy. That pisses me off. But Jinder was with 3MB. Jinder was doing so many like little odds.
I think if Jinder wasn't with Rusev.
Rusev was a launching pad for him to show off his body.
If that went differently, if they took that and packaged them just a little bit differently, whereas Jinder wasn't the guy getting his ass kicked,
it would have been better.
It would have made this so much more of an investment,
right?
Rather than a publicity stunt because news broke of the India show and all the stuff WWE wants to do in India.
Yeah.
You know, it felt very forced down our throats.
It was.
And
it absolutely
and that never really is received well by the WWE universe. And I'm very not terrified, but nervous that the Jinder Mahal Championship reign, as you mentioned, it's going to be a transitional reign.
Of course.
But when we look back on it, it's not going to be one we're going to remember. You remember some transitional championship reigns. You remember those things because they were, in a weird way, they were important.
Let me put it to you this way. So, if I'm Jinder Mahal, and they're telling me we're giving you the rocket to the top to be champion, but you're going to lose it at the next pay-per-view. You'll have it for about 4 to 6 weeks, and you're losing it at the next pay-per-view. If I'm Jinder, I don't give a shit. And this is why. Because when you look at the record books, you're going to have Triple H, Stone Cold, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, John Cena, Ric Flair, Jinder Mahal. You're up there with those guys.
Yeah.
AJ Styles.
You're in that same book with all those guys.
You're in the same conversation with those guys.
And don't get me wrong, it's a good thing, but we mentioned it, I think we mentioned it Tuesday, just kind of talking. It's almost like he's being Tony Atlas, though.
Yeah.
They're strapping too many rockets on him.
Yeah. I think the way that they kind of dampened it was giving him the Bollywood Boys, because then
they got destroyed.
Oh my god.
They got so
Randy yikes that guy. Like, he backflipped him on that table on his head. Oh, that was so bad. He's like, thanks, man. But no, if it was him solo without the Bollywood Boys, I would be more upset. But because he had the interference of the Bollywood Boys every single week, it's smart. Because it's the same formula, and I mentioned this earlier, it's the same formula that they did with Seth Rollins.
Right.
The difference is that Seth Rollins was already established before that happened. That's the only big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, using it now, understand, he got Let's Go Jinder chance. So people are behind him.
Right.
Granted, they knew that he was going to win, but they were behind him. And the fact that you got the Chicago crowd behind Jinder over Randy, and
it's huge.
It's huge. And now that he's the champion, I don't think it's going to hurt anything, in all honesty. Because, obviously, I'm pretty sure him and Randy are going to talk shit to each other again. Randy will probably have a rematch on a SmackDown show. Randy will lose again. And then that sets up Rusev saying, I just got rewarded my championship match, and it's against you. And Rusev is now finally a face. Because he may have been the Bulgarian brute that everybody hated, but people hate Jinder more. And it works for the transitional phase.
The only thing that concerns me is I was reading an article where they're saying that...
Also, quick side, I just want Rusev as champion.
It may be Rusev versus Shane at SummerSlam, but the article was kind of shit.
But I can't say shit. I can't, because Shane versus AJ was mental.
Exactly.
I can't say
so
shit.
It would be
Shane
really
can
good.
Still go, and Shane's a beast.
But it would be one of those things to where it'd have to be, all right, you win, you get your shot at the champion,
right?
Kind of thing,
right?
You know, we talk about earning their spots. you're not.
Is SummerSlam before Money in the Bank?
No.
Okay, that would make sense then.
So, but yeah, I mean, Backlash overall,
good show.
very good show.
Very
Nothing
good show.
like last night though.
Oh God,
Last night,
UK match was so good.
last night was NXT Takeover Chicago was a really good show.
NXT takeovers period are always going to be superior to the show that follows them. Always. I have not seen an NXT takeover show that was worse than the main roster show. Not yet. Even with NXT takeover San Antonio versus WrestleMania, NXT takeover was still my show.
Well, San Antonio, you mean versus Royal Rumble?
That's what I meant. Yeah, sorry.
Because in my book, and I love the takeover specials.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, and I agree. Where San Antonio was better than the Royal Rumble. Chicago was better than last night. I think a lot of it is because I'm biased towards the taker aspect
Right.
of this year's WrestleMania.
Right.
It sits on a higher pedestal for me and probably some other fans out there.
Because of nostalgia.
Right.
It's fucking.
So
yeah.
versus a takeover to where it was still good. Overall, was still good.
Right. My thought process is that one match does not a pay-per-view make.
Correct.
So even if the Taker match was my favorite match, which it was one of my favorite matches on the card, it does not elevate WrestleMania over the Takeover that was before that.
But it's something
That's
that really makes you stand. And a lot of people talk about it. That very last bit
Right.
of a show is what people are going to hold on to.
Yep.
I.e. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. But
Psycho Killer's going to be such a great heel, but fuck, that made me
it's something
sad.
that people hold on to and they remember.
Right.
For Orlando,
Yep.
I just remember Bobby Roode winning and having the awesome
Yes.
white robe.
Yes.
God, it was glorious.
God, that robe was beautiful.
San Antonio, Bobby Roode finally capturing the title and us being there for it.
Yep.
Those are those ending things that really make them stand out.
Right.
But we're going to be doing this again in 2 weeks.
Yep.
For Raw exclusive Extreme Rules.
Yep.
Next week we'll be shooting our next jar challenge. And we'll probably put out some other content. We'll shoot some other content that day.
Right.
To hopefully put out. It'll be a pretty productive day for us there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back with our Raw recaps and our Doing It Lives this week.
Doing it live!
Now that the move is finally over.
Wait.
And all our stuff is now in one area, one site.
Yeah, God damn it, that's helping so much.
And we can almost bounce off of each other
Right.
to do these things, which is
Right.
going to be really, really good.
Right.
Once again, I am Ritz. This is your Jar Challenge champion and your Jar ICP champion, Jax.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take us out? Officially take us out?
I don't want to say keep it tight. We don't have a catchphrase, but...
Oh, we don't need a catchphrase.
We don't need a catchphrase, baby. Thank you guys so much. I don't want to be the one to say I told you so, but I told you so. Just saying.
This is what it's like listening to me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Except I do it better.
Oh, shut up.